morning, everyone, and welcome back to this third and last day of our conference. And we are happy to welcome back with us those ones who are following on Zoom and YouTube of the New Humanity International NGO. Congratulations to all of us for this conference entitled Cities, Communities, Care, Youth in Action for Sustainable Peace that began 2 days ago. On the first day, we explored global and local perspectives on urbanization and community. On the second day, we focused on models of sharing, sustainability, and co-responsibility. And today, on the third day, the final day, our theme is in action for peace and unity. During this conference, we have had several international connections, allowing us to discover inspiring visions and good practices from other cities and countries, such as Manila, the Kinshasa, and Bethlehem. We also had roundtables on topics like youth leadership in the political arena and the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, along with many rich moments of sharing and exchange. Today, we will begin with an interdisciplinary dialogue under the theme and action for peace, moderated by Madalena Martez. You're welcome on the stage, Madalena. A round of applause for Madalena. Thank you.
Thank you, Hajit. So let's see if I learn good. Abari Zenu. This is the good morning to you all. There was a journalist this morning that tried to teach me how to say that. Say it for me. Okay, thank you. Good morning to all of you. So I'm Maddalena, as you can understand from the name. I'm Italian, but currently I'm living in New York. I am a journalist, correspondent for a media outlet in Italy, but also I am the representative of New Humanity NGO at the United Nations in New York. But I'm very, very glad and honored to be here with you, great young change maker. So a round of applause for you all to start this morning all together. The title of our panel, as you see there, is In Action for Peace and Unity. I want to ask you all to take a few seconds to think about a word, a verb, an adjective that can express the title of our panel. What does it mean for you in action for peace and unity? Few seconds, think about. Ejit, may I ask your support, please? So, can you ask to a few people here the word or the verb that they thought can express the title? Who wants to
One word or one adjective or any.
One word.
Please come in front because
You can go around.
Yeah,
okay, there
because
is one hand rise.
Come here, please, because we have
One word.
the camera there. So
Not
that's
questions, not reflection. Word.
One word.
Verbs, adjective.
Okay, my name is Sandy, and my word is resolving. Yeah.
Resolving.
Yeah,
okay.
to resolve.
Thank you. Another, here in the
Thank you
front.
very much.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Ouattara Tenema Fin la Côte d'Ivoire.
Hello, everyone.
Le mot qui me vient à
The word
l'esprit,
that comes to mind is
coopération.
cooperation.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is John and my word is team building.
What's the name? Sorry, I didn't.
Team building.
Oh, great. Another one?
Oui, je suis Hervé.
Yes, I am Hervé Dubenet. The word that comes to my heart is love.
L'amour, great. And now I will ask to the panelists to come here to join me and say and share with us their words. Please come on the stage. Professor Paulo Muniz, Professor Ballowing, our great MC that today is our panelist. A round of applause for her too. Priska Marahao. And then, Emmanuel, our lawyer from Nigeria, Emmanuel Ninjoka. Okay, I have to learn a lot. So I need to stay more to practice now here. So thank you so much for joining to this panel and share with us the word that you thought that can express the title of our panel. The word, I want the word in action.
I'm Paulo Muniz. I'm a rector of the Centro Universitário Access Unita in Caruaru, northern in Brazil. Action.
Professor?
Me?
Yes, the word.
Persistence.
Persistence. Okay.
Dialogue.
Dialogue.
Fraternity.
Instead of a word, I want to share with you an image. On February 22nd, 2022, I was covering for my media outlet the Security Council meeting at 9 p.m. in New York. That night, Russia invaded Ukraine. The image, when I think in action for peace and unity, is the image of the ambassador from Ukraine. He stepped in the room of Security Council, holding in his hand the chart of the United Nations. His weapon was the rule of law, values, the common commitment of 193 countries, the members of the United Nations, the commitment for peace. And this guy, in front of that moment, dramatic, was asking to the Russian ambassador to call the president and stop the invasion. When I think in action for peace, I think of that moment, always. And now, let's start together our panel. As you see, we are here from 4 different continents with several expertise, but with one vision, the same vision that you all are sharing with us, being peace builders, being peacemakers, being in action for peace. So let's start our panel, and I want to start with the Professor Paulo Muniz. He's already said it is the Dean of the Access Unita University in Caruaru in Brazil, an institution recognized by the United Nations Academy Impact for linking higher education and social transformation. He worked closely with students, leading community projects in peace building, gender equality, and environmental protection. I think that all of us are aware that in this day in Brazil, in Belém, all activists, representative of governments are there for the COP30 to work for protection of environment. I want to start asking him, what role do young people play in shaping global peace efforts today? I think we need to encourage him because English is not his main language, is not native language. So thank you also for accepting the challenge of speaking in a different language. It's working? Okay.
Thank you, Madalena. Young people are not just beneficiaries of peace policies. They must be co-authors of a more just and a cooperative future. Their transformative energy is essential to revitalizing multilateral action and ensuring the promise of the UN Charter remain alive. At Assays UNITA, we see this fish hand. Our student in international relations believe that knowledge only has value when it transforms. Their engagement in community projects and the global dialogues prove that youth inclusion is not symbolic, it's a historical necessity.
Can you hear me? No. Yes. Now, yes. So you were talking about historical necessity, not this kind of involvement. So I'm curious, how does your university connect education with real world peace building?
Our institutions serves a living bridge between education and society. Last year alone, we impacted over 12,000 people, 12,000 lives, through 36 community extension projects. For example, Project Civitas promotes political education and active citizenship. In Project Nugen, works to prevent domestic violence and force gender equality. And Project Teia focus on peace studies and conflict transformation. These initiatives are student-led and rooted in the belief that peace is built through care, imagination, and action. That's why Assays UNITA was certified by the United Nations Academic Impact.
I was pretty impressed. 2,000 lives impacted, 12,000, 36 projects also. And I want to add that this morning, Professor Muniz took a picture of all the panelists to share also with the students of his university. He's a very social media person too, right? But now we were thinking about the COP30 and the challenges that only Brazil is experiencing. But what can we learn from Brazil and from the youth resilience that they are facing in the face of so many challenges?
In 2024, our student founded Caatlantica, an NGO dedicated to preserving the Caatinga in the Atlantic forest, two biomes that reflect both of essence and urgence. The Caatinga, with its ability to thrive under extreme conditions, mirrors the resilience of youth who grew even amid scarcity. From Brazil northeast to Africa Sahel, young people face similar challenges: climate change, inequality, and exclusion from decision making. Yet, like the Caatinga, they persist. Sustainability and peace are intertwined, and both must be nurtured not only in center of power, but also in the margins, where care and opportunity allow life to flourish.
Paolo, so you mentioned about this sustainability and peace, not at the margins, but belong to the everyday life also of your students. And I think it's something now that can be really meaningful, because sometimes in front of the global challenges, we experience like the feeling of powerless. And instead, your students and your university is proving that it's possible, make an impact and a change. Thank you so much for flying and share with us this experience. You can ask more, and you can check also the website of the university, because it's very interesting and you will be inspired by, I'm sure of that. Thank you. And now let's go to Priska Maharavo. So was perfect. Okay, then I learned a little bit. I practiced before. So Priska, besides being our amazing MC, she is a lecturer at the Catholic University of Madagascar, and she is one of the founders of Together for a New Africa, this initiative that you know very well, training young African leaders in collective leadership, good governance, and wisdom of Ubuntu. She also served on the scientific committee of Together for a New Africa and the Politics for Unity movement. And she has been also keynote speakers in several panels and conferences. But today, Priska will speak with us, will share with us her experience about peace, peace building, I want to say, and especially in which way young people can have an impact. So we know very well that peace cannot longer be understood as the mere absence of conflict. It's an active presence of justice, solidarity, and shared responsibility. And we know also that peace is a collective construction, cannot be just one hero. A commitment, right? But it's a collective commitment. So what are the cultural foundation of peace in your experience?
Thank you, Mati, for your question. So, for example, in Africa, in the African tradition, we have some values, some foundations, I would say some precious foundations to really think about peace. Like, we all are aware about Ubuntu. Like in Madagascar, we have Fiavanana. Like Fiavanana teaches us that peace is rooted in mutual respect, in reconciliation and forgiveness. When we say Ubuntu in South Africa or in other part of Africa in another way, we celebrate compassion. We celebrate shared humanity, inclusion. That's what we mean with I am because you are. So Ubuntu, as some of us may know, inspired a politics like after the days after the colonization. It has inspired politics here in Africa. In Tanzania, we have some members from Tanzania here called Ujama, initiated by President Julius Nyerere. Ujama was a policy that meant solidarity as a foundation of dignity and development. So these values, African values, resonate also with other cultural values from other countries. For example, in the context of the UK, United Kingdom, we have the duty of care. Duty of care, it's a moral and legal principle that became a case law which means jurisprudence in French. It implies that one person must avoid causing tort, damage, to another person. Now, in the US, we have the Good Samaritan status. Good Samaritan status, it's a state law. It's a sum of state laws that promotes active solidarity in face of emergency. So it encourages bystanders to step up, assist injured or ill people that are in situation of emergency, and without fearing being sued or having problem in case something goes wrong in the act of assisting people in emergency. So as you can see, everyone have heard, I think, about the French Constitution that is talking about liberty. Liberty. The French Constitution meant liberty as a foundation. Fraternity. Fraternity in the Constitution of France is meant as a foundation of liberty and equality. So all these cultural categories that we have quoted now converge toward one truth, which is humanity is relational. Humanity is interdependent and mutually responsible. So from one side and another of the planet, we would recognize all of us those as a category, and we name it different way. We use it in the society or also in the law, as we have just said.
Thank you so much for sharing this principle, because most of the time when we think about the countries that you mentioned, immediately we see conflict, political problems, all of this stuff. Instead, now you are providing us Ubuntu, Samaritan law. I didn't know in the US there was this law, so thank you for. And then care, fraternity. So look at our countries also with this principle that were really, in a certain sense, not only written paper, but acting law and acting, like say, principle. Then, so how do we translate this principle in concrete action? How do we build peace, considering these principles that you mentioned before?
Yes, I think I will not surprise you if I say it needs it's a participatory dynamic. It needs me and you. We would think, and we will be right to say that it's the duty of the state. Yeah, the state is the guarantor of security and justice. Yes, but civil society also has responsibility as mobilizer, educators, and as mediator in the society for peace. We also have like the local community. In Africa, we are, our foundation is our community, no? So when I say local community is an actor of peace, because the local community are the keeper of the tradition, as I said, Ubuntu, Ujamaa, Fiavana. It lays in the local community, even in UK, even in US. It is written there in our blood, in who we are. So local community has a role in peace building and keeping peace. The international institutions, we are here for the 80th anniversary of the UN. It's the structure. We say yesterday we talked about UN, African Union. Those are structures that are in charge of the stability. Yesterday, Reka told us about the importance of the achievement. Think of all the achievement that we managed to do as a country, a great effort we did, thanks to those institutions. And of course, it is also our duty young men, young women, citizens every day in our everyday life, I would say. So it is a collective work, as you said in the beginning, and it requires all of us, a collective effort, a shared responsibility.
So we have principle, we have institution, we have communities, and still we have challenges to peace.
Yes.
So what are the main challenges according to your expertise to peace, and why? Having all these principles, having all these structures, the will of each of us to be committed, and the challenges are still there. What are these challenges?
Well, this room is full of people who would have a long list to give us today, as the youth have showed us these days. But let me just tell some of them. Economic crisis. We found youth in Africa. We say majority of the African people are youth. Youth are unemployed. We have economical crisis. We have injustice. We have exclusion, corruption, loss of common good. And I think in this, all the generation agreed, like from youth to old, we all feel that loss of those values that we are, even in US, I think here in Africa, we're all saying Ubuntu is disappearing. In Madagascar, we are saying we are instrumentalizing via banana. We are not anymore living it. We use it, politicians use it whenever they need it, but we don't really see it reflecting in the public policy, everyday public policy. So those are some of the challenges that are the origin of the new waves of civic mobilization that we are seeing now from Antananarivo to Kathmandu, or from Lagos to Casablanca lately, the movement of Gen Z, Gen Z, that generation that is born from 1996 to 1910. So it's because of all those challenges that youth, as usually I'm saying now, we can't anymore say that youth are not interested in politics. I think sharing here in this room, we all say that youth are willing not just to talk, but to take action. And they have showed us this last year, last month, I think.
Thank you. So this is a very interesting conversation, and I think each of us has many questions to ask you about this action, and not just talking about youth willing to participate. Yesterday, I read a sentence that stayed with me. We are thirsty, of participation. We are thirsty. So this is something, not the state with me.
Especially in Africa.
Especially in Africa.
Youth are...
Yeah. Also Brazil, because I met a few of them, very eager to be part of. But also I know a person that she is really on the public stage and the public policies, when you mentioned yesterday, because Professor Ballawing, she's also a policy maker. And I encourage you to ask her, because a few years ago she was seated there with the same dream that you have, with the same passion that you have. And look what happened to her just a few weeks ago. So she's a professor from the Erasmus University Rotterdam in Netherlands. So she's an economist, expert in trade and development, with a doctorate in economics for Erasmus University and a master from the University of Philippines. So in her research, she explored trade, regional integration, sustainable development. And what happened? Just a few months ago, she was entrusted to write the policy, then correct me, the business policy and trade policy for the Philippine government. for the 7,351 islands that Melissa mentioned yesterday. And just a few days ago, before she landed in Kenya, the president signed that document as now is the official policy for the country. With our same vision of fraternity, okay? So I have a few questions, and then for you. Also, you have worked closely. We talk about the challenges of peace. She worked closely with communities in Mindanao. It's one of the islands of the Philippines during a fragile peace process. What did you learn about the role of trust in rebuilding peace, especially when political and economic solutions fall apart?
So I'm happy to be here and answer your question. So I've been working in one of our projects in the University of the Philippines is in Mindanao. That's the south of the Philippines, where for 5 decades we had a civil war between the Muslim ex-rebels and the government. And since 2019, there's been a fragile peace. And an autonomous government has been established, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, and waves of financing and funding came from local and national institutions. And so many people believe that with political power, with money, with new institutions, that peace will be achieved quickly. But it didn't happen that way. So instead of unity and cooperation, there's been competition for resources. There has been new conflict, this time not anymore between the Muslims and the government, but among themselves, among clans, among ethnic groups. And corruption grew as everyone scrambled for public funds. It's a familiar story, no? So it was very clear that peace is something that you cannot force, you cannot impose, because war destroys trust in the most fundamental way. And you cannot have economic or political institutions when trust is not there. So can I talk about our project?
Yes.
Yeah, so so it was a simple it was a simple university project with very small funding. But what we did was we reached out to the Muslim ex-combatants whose task was to transform the rebel camps into normal, thriving communities. Isn't that the challenge? After you have laid down the swords, after the sounds of the bullet has stopped, how? Where? Where can you find the plowshares that will make peace productive? So we went to them without much pretense saying that, we are the experts. No, we came there very simply. We asked them what they needed and what we can do together. So it's a beautiful project, and I can spend the whole day talking about it. I won't. But just to shortcut the whole story, at the end, one of our last meetings, one of the things they said was that they realized, they understood that to work for peace requires patience. And that they take courage from our presence, from our being there, even if, especially because we are Christians whom they have long considered as their enemies. So because we were there, they took courage that they were not alone in this struggle for peace. So this is something that remained in me. I understood right there and then that peace begins when people understand that it is a journey requiring patience, and how important it is for solidarity to strengthen every step of that journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Very powerful. listen to you now, and also now when we said about the words that can summarize our title, some of us said love, right? So, and you mentioned, even not love, forgiveness, like the characteristic also of this project, in a certain sense, in your experience in this community. So, how love and forgiveness can become practical tools in peacemaking?
So now I generalize my experience, to my personal experience. And this taught me really what the culture of unity really means. It is a vision that illuminates every concrete step that we take. It is a culture that makes us active builders of peace by seeing every relationship as a chance to build and rebuild community. It begins with the heart open to love everyone as oneself, to listen without judgment, and to make the pain of the others as our own. Within this culture is a demanding idea, reciprocity. How often have we heard that word in the last 2 days? It sounds simple, but it contains a difficult paradox. True reciprocity is not trade. It is not giving so that the other gives back. It is the decision to act for the good of the other without expecting return, trusting that in some other form, in some other time, that same good will come back through someone else. It keeps relationship alive, especially when they fail, because it refuses to make the other's response as the condition of one's love. The path of peace is standing, falling, standing again. How often during the day that we break each other's trust, that a wrong word slip, or even a look can hurt the other person? How often do we disappoint each other when we are not true to our promises in big and small ways? Yet, peace endures when we are ready to restore it through humility and forgiveness, forgiving others and being humble enough to ask forgiveness in return. Forgiveness makes peace renewable. It prevents failure from being the final word. It prevents hate from taking the final word. Do you have
You have a long list, I think, of suggestions. If you have another one to add about
I'll just
forgiveness,
continue.
I will appreciate.
So I'm certain that in your experiences, you too understand that as peacemakers, we must remain alert, ready to notice, ready to support, ready to nurture every seed of peace that grows. Sometimes it takes the form of a small act of solidarity, of sense of belonging. But other times, it takes a very big and important breakthrough that opens the path forward. In both cases, it takes courage. It takes courage to start small, even when our ideas are so ambitious. But it also takes courage to take a big responsibility, even when we feel the limits of our resources and our capabilities.
Wow. I think that I want to apply to your course. Is this right? Each of us, I think, now we want to apply to be students in your courses, right? For us. Sorry? Okay, so let's make like a visiting professor here, right? So let's plan for that. I agree. Yes. Do you want to add?
I want to address it to the young people here, because this is really a challenge and your gift. You know, you inherit a system that is so broken, is so fragile, and yet you hold it in yourself the courage to make it whole again. If you look at every good practice, every good instance of justice, of freedom, of solidarity that exists today, it is because somewhere in the past, young people dreamt and fought for a future that were very different from what they saw. You know, young people are always seen as the idealists, sometimes dismissed as being naive. But if you look at history, it is the dreams of young people that has constantly changed the world for the better. And therefore, for those of you who feel the calling to change the politics of your country, don't shy away from that calling just because politics is dirty or impossible to redeem. Politics matters for peace. It is where values are transformed into laws and where justice takes a visible form. Nothing will change if we give in to the idea that it can never change. We can never change politics if we convince ourselves that it can never be changed.
Thank you. Oops.
Okay, that's all.
I think now we want to leave space for question right after. So now something that dream a different future. And I think one of these dreamers is here. It's in this room. And this Emmanuel Njoka, okay. So he's a Nigerian lawyer based in Abuja. And also he's working for a Niger Delta Power Holding Company. He has held legal and advocacy role with the Cookhouse Center. He's a passionate of human rights, good governance, democracy. He belongs to the Focolare movement. He is a strong believer in justice. And in justice, not in injustice. And I have asked something. In your experience as a lawyer and human rights advocate, how can we take meaningful action in the face this time of injustices? And we know many, and in front of the many global challenges that we are experiencing.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and to share my reflections on the topic, in action for peace and unity, and how to foster peace and unity in our communities, locally and globally. Well, first and foremost, I think it is very clear that peace and unity is not given as a gift. It's not a gift. Inaction fuels injustice. So where there is lack of peace and unity, it calls for action. So where individuals sit back and see injustice grow, inequality grow, and they remain quiet, they are being complicit. So, in order to create equal society, an egalitarian society where everybody has a space, it means each and everyone has to be involved in the process of peace building and unity. In our communities, there are instances of injustice, instances of marginalization, instances of discrimination. But those who these vices do not affect, they remain indifferent, simply because it has not got to them. But that playing of the ostrich, it fuels injustice and instability in our communities and in the society at large. So, for peace to strive, we have to be courageous. We have to have the moral courage to see, to speak, and to stand for peace, unity, and justice.
Thank you. Emmanuel, before we were talking about also the situation that your country is experiencing, and especially this persecution, now that we listen, we know persecution of Christians, persecution of Muslims, and you shared with me what lens we need to use in looking at the situation and addressing the situation. What are your suggestions also to the young people here to continue to believe in peace, not to give up?
Yes. I think the reason why we are even here is to portray the fact that a peaceful world is possible. And we are supposed to be the animators of that peace we seek. Now, the situation in Nigeria is such that it's very complex. But the bottom line is that lives are being lost. Whether Christians, whether Muslims, whether animists, whatever, lives are being lost. So, it calls for action. Like I said, peace and unity is not a gift. Peace and unity is a catalyst for development. But when there is injustice and people stay back, then it thrives. As young people, my encouragement will be that we should never give up. We should know that with the numerical strength which we have as Africans, we have the possibility of changing the status quo to a world that we have dreamt of. How do we do that? We can only do that by taking active participation in our community life. We must be rooted in our community activities. We must be rooted in standing for truth and rooted in standing for justice. Because an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Like Martin Luther King Jr. once said, at the end of the time, we will not remember what our enemies said. Rather, we will remember what our friends, we will remember the silence of our friends. So, as young people, I see a lot of hope because what is happening now, all the conflicts that is happening, I just see as a dying horse kicking. But the awareness, the consciousness that we are creating now is that push that we need to bring about peace and stability in Africa and in the world at large. So, to bring about this peace, we must be able to listen. Listen to the marginalized. We must be able to listen to the people who are victims of this injustice, who are victims of the system, who are victims of circumstances which is beyond their control. So we must be empathetic in assessing what is right. Because truth is one. And peace, there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. Because there's nothing you want to achieve, you will be able to achieve if there is no peace. So peace to me is not a journey, it is the way to a peace, to a better and a safer society. And the global scene, we have international institutions like the United Nations that is responsible for world peace and fraternity. And if you look at the world today, you ask, who are united in the United Nations? Because today, like since we came here, we've been having moments for peace. Almost half of the world are in conflict. Why? Why is there such division? Why is there so much conflict? It's because we have remained passive. People feel it doesn't touch me, it doesn't affect me, but it touches all of us because we all share the same humanity. We all share the same humanity and we are all created in the likeness and the image of God. So, with this consciousness and the international organizations working towards peace and fraternity in the world, they need to understand and really give voices to all people who are being marginalized because the world is full of injustice and because most of the people are remaining indifferent to the plight of the people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Yes. Yes. This applause, and we can continue, is to express also this closeness and this commitment. And this is now, it's a moment of silence. I suggest to stand. Let's stand together with the time out for peace. In this minute of silence, each of us can pray and renew our personal commitment for peace. In this moment of silence, let us remember all the countries at war that we have mentioned in the past days, and many of them are our own countries. Use this time, this silence, to say a personal yes to peace and fraternity, trusting that each of these yeses are a seed of hope for our communities, our friends, our families, for our schools, universities, workplaces, governments, and even for those who right now find themselves on the side of conflict, violence, and war. Thank you for these 200 yeses. And now the floor is open for your questions, brief questions, and in this way, we have the chance to get many answers. So the methodology will be, we collect 3 questions, and then the panelists will answer, okay? Okay. Brief questions. Otherwise, I'll cut you, okay?
It's okay, don't cut me.
No, not you. I'm laughing. I'm just
Okay,
laughing.
so I was taking down notes as you guys were speaking. Sorry. I was taking down notes as you guys were speaking. And it's not going to be long. I'm going to summarize. And most of them are not necessarily questions, but comments. So.
1 minute.
I know, 1 minute. Okay, let me not even use the notes. Let me speak from my heart. So I'm a mental health champion. And what I do is sharing my lived experience with depression, paralysis, and my miraculous healing from paralysis. To not only inspire people, but to give them hope that there's life after any diagnosis. And that is how I impact lives. So to bring this home to the topic, we cannot have peace if we don't have a peace of mind. That is the beginning of peace. It begins with you. Because like I always tell people, if you can't find good people around you, be the good person. So it all begins with you. You can't be out there being a peacemaker when at home you're the biggest rowdy person. Isn't that right? Oh, let me not look at you. So, it has to begin with you. Find that peace of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. I like what you're speaking about, Professor. My Indonesian professor. It's nice meeting an Indonesian. We should have lunch together. So, just carry on the peacemaking. I love the statement of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a very powerful notion. I am because we are. And we are because no man is an island. There's not even God created Adam and Eve. If you're meant to be alone, it would just be Adam. I don't know where the rest of us will come from.
Okay. Peace of mind.
My question goes to Emmanuel. How can you convince the young people in this room that have witnessed and experienced repeated injustices in many spheres of life, of their lives, where the abnormal norms have become normal, to rebuild their hope?
Third one.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. My question is, what happens when the state is the one funding violence? What happens when governments are the one who fund war? And even when in grassroots, when you're trying to build peace, but the government and the states are the one funding these wars, how can we tackle that, and where do we come in that?
Great. There is someone else? So yes, and then.
Moi, c'est Aristide Denis Biguila, originaire du Burundi. J'aimerais juste vous remercier pour cette présentation qui est vraiment très touchante pour moi. Et de suggérer aussi d'inclure une...
Aristide, I'm going to translate you, okay? Yes. For the panelists. So he's thanking all of you for the opportunity, and you continue.
J'aime bien la manière dont vous avez introduit ce thème, et aussi j'aimerais vous demander aussi à stimuler, à pousser les jeunes à avoir cet esprit de voir les choses comme il est, parce que la paix en soi, nous venons de voir que ça commence par nous-mêmes. Donc, c'est à nous.
I really like the way you presented this topic, and it makes me think, I'm resuming, that peace really depends on how we present and live it.
Merci bien de nous rappeler les 4 piliers que j'ai retenus pour garder la paix. Premièrement, j'ai constaté qu'il faut améliorer nos caractères, notamment la prudence, la justice et le courage de faire le changement, aussi la tempérance. Merci bien.
Thank you for reminding me all those tools necessary to keep peace. Then he named them courage, freedom, etc.
Who wants to? No, Egid. Let's answer to this, and then we can continue with another round of questions. Keep your question there, and let answers them, and then we can continue the dialogue. There was someone about peace of mind. If you want to make a comment then, but Emmanuel first.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. If I understand your question, is that how do I convince young people who have experienced repeated injustice? And where about how it has become normal, it has almost become like a norm, the injustice. Because of the repeated injustice, you've not taken like a way of life. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we are here. And one of the catching words that I will leave here with is the fact that I should never give up. Always keep hope alive. Injustice is almost everywhere. But you that haven't suffered repeated injustice, I would like to ask, you need to take steps. Depends on who is perpetrating the injustice. If it is state or an individual or an organization, an institution, it will depend on, first and foremost, the legal framework of your country. If, for instance, it is justice from access to public institution or whatever, I think there are courts you could approach to seek redress, or you meet community leaders, you meet NGOs, so it's civil society organizations, depends on who the perpetrator is. But the last word I would tell you is that you never give up. You have to stand up and insist on justice, because justice is not negotiable, because that is what breeds conflict. That's what perpetrates crime. When one feels unjustly treated and has no remedy and has nowhere to go and ventilate or complain, that's what bottles, he keeps bottling it, he keeps talking it in him until he blows up. So I will encourage you to speak up, meet community leaders, meet local, depends on the level at which the injustice is being perpetrated. But I will assure you that when you get stakeholders, when you complain, when you speak out, when you meet either religious organizations, civil society organizations, the legal system of your country, I'm sure that injustice or the perpetrator will be called to book and called to account.
Yes. I think it is. My answer will be connected with the question about what do you do when it's the government, when the government is part of the problem. Let's not be polemic. So I would say, for the case of African, let me start from where I am. I think it has become a problem that people compliment African by saying, what a resilient people. They do so much with all this. How can they continue to smile with all the things they are going through? I think, yes, it is important. We have developed that skill and it makes us survive. But I think this is the moment, well, when we face injustice and the government is part of the problem, we need to react. We can't stay still. And the youth have showed it now lately. This is step one. But then another very important, then we want to react. Let me take an example, Madagascar. The youth react. The youth say, enough. Nothing is working. We can't even have a minimum dignity. Now, that was good and it was important and it's a first-time event that it happened. It was a social problem, not even political in the beginning. But now there is a second step necessary if the government is the problem and we need to step up in politics. We need to be formed. We need to form ourselves. We can't sit there if we don't have competence, if we don't have skills. And again, I dare say in here, that was the problem in Madagascar when youth step up, because people were ready to listen, there was opportunity, and then the youth say, but we don't have the skill. It is what is happening right now. So one is reacting. Secondly, forming each other for me. Third, being creative. When we study, and I think we talked about it here yesterday, I think from Congo they said, we need to renew our education system because it's not productive, it doesn't help us to be creative, it doesn't match our necessity of today. So I think creativity, innovation, and based in knowing who we are. I think that's one of the reasons I based all my research on what is the wisdom, as Professor Declan teaches, what is the wisdom of my people, of my tradition, and what can it now say in know this problem? We need to be creative. That would be my answer.
Great. Any other comments about when the government is part of the problem?
I just want to add to that idea of resilience, because resilience that protects the status quo is not resilient. Resilience is only resilient if it's transformative. And that's why the formation is important. But formation is not just the level of the diploma, of having a diploma. It's getting the confidence that you have, that this is your talent, this is your skill, and this is your contribution, and I can take responsibility because I am now ready. You know, the word confidence is to have faith on each other, that we're ready to take responsibility and we do it together.
And then thinking about renewing our educational system, so the example of the university in Brazil, that in this moment, now Paolo, someone can translate.
Io parlo in italiano e tu.
Yes. Can translate.
That's right. Okay. Ok. No, è per dire che nella presentazione tu hai detto che siamo dei 4 continenti del mondo e io sono davvero dell'America, però l'America non è uguale. Io vengo dall'America Latina.
You spoke before about that we are here from 4 continents, but America is just not one continent. I'm coming from Latin America and it's different.
E così siamo di una regione che è molto simile nei suoi problemi con quelli che avete suscitato qui in questo incontro.
In my region, we are experiencing the same challenges and problems that you are experiencing here.
E così è per dire che da noi vediamo l'Africa come veri fratelli, veri amici, anche per cercare le soluzioni dei nostri problemi. Forse uno dei grandi problemi sia proprio questo, di dare protagonismo alla gioventù per cercare soluzioni per tanti di questi problemi che abbiamo suscitato qui, della violenza, delle ingiustizie e così.
We see Africa as very close friends, brothers and sisters to us, because we want to be inspired also by you in finding solution to problems that also we caused. And so, because we are experiencing not this kind of problems, we are here also to be inspired.
E così è per dire che la nostra università parte in questo proposito vero di stabilire un rapporto con ognuno di voi e cercare come fare insieme le ricerche, gli studi e anche le azioni necessarie per approfondire questi problemi e cercare soluzioni anche per questi problemi.
I forgot to mention that's why our university is very youth-oriented, because we want to look at the problems and the situation with the contribution of the youth and developing programs and solutions with the youth.
Grazie.
Thank you. So, can we have space for other 2 questions? Just one? Online. Okay, so if someone can read it.
So, there's a question from the Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z, sorry, it makes me feel young, but how to build trust if you don't trust the government and they're not trustworthy? How to work for peace with the government if they're, again, part of the problem, as was said before? And if all these things are causing us problems, the lack of Ubuntu, the unemployment, then what word would each of you say to give hope to the youth?
So I think so we need to organize a new Congress, no? To answer to all the questions that online some of our amazing friends posed. Who wants to start? Just to give like some. Yeah.
Well, I want to suppose that the government being referred to is either a democratically elected government or a dictator. Yeah. But let's just work on the premise that we are referring to a democratically elected government. So If you don't trust your government, I'm sure your constitution provides for routine elections. After perhaps 4 years or 5 years, you have an opportunity to change that government. Because any government which cannot inspire hope, trust, and confidence in its citizens does not deserve to be called a government. Because every government must be a shield for all its citizens. It must be able to protect lives and properties. And where the youth cannot trust their government, it's a call for them to form an association, to form their own group, and then serve as an opposition to that government and work towards voting out that government in the next electoral cycle. To me, that would be the most democratic and peaceful way to change a government which has lost the trust and confidence of its people.
Yes, I think just briefly, I think we all agree that there are a lot to be done. That's why we had a lot of questions from online. But I think that's why it's important that we work together. Like one of the keywords I was saying, I forgot, co-governance. But not just co-governance for the leader, but even us as youth, we need to organize ourselves because there are so many things to do. I don't trust the government because they are corrupt. I need to enter in that system so that I change the system. I don't trust the government because there is injustice. I need to be part of the justice system. Again, this is a time for youth, and youth want to participate, then participating means entering inside the system and not looking from outside and saying, old people did this to us. I'm again saying it because I'm from a country where till 2009, we entrusted our government to youth. And youth disappointed us when they took power. It's not the Gen Z, of course. I'm talking about 2009. A very younger government, a very younger president, promoting women in the or public office, ambassador like this. But when you enter, we often say that, power position corrupted. I think yesterday we've heard from one of the panelists saying we need to keep our integrity, we need to remember our values, we need to enter there and apply it as the way Professor Annette is doing.
Trust.
The government is also not a homogeneous thing. The government has many aspects, there's many levels, there's many civil servants. So trust is being able to find, as I said, an active peace builder, meaning to recognize all those seeds of hope inside the government. That's one area. The other point is that it is not possible to trust the government until it delivers. If the system keeps on failing, how can you trust the government that delivers the system that fails? So no matter we can talk ourselves blue and say we have to trust, but the reality is that people will not trust it until it delivers the welfare and the well-being of every single person. So what happens is that we have to be the brokers of trust. We have to be the one that kindles the spark that we can trust again. Being a brokers of trust, we've talked about it in Together for New Africa, means if I am trusted by Paulo, Maddie can trust Paulo because she trusts me. Even if she doesn't trust Paulo, but because you trust me, you can work together. And this is the power, the transformative power of trust. It's a risky trust because, again, you're not sure whether you will get the result. You're not sure whether it's going to be reciprocated. But as I've said, reciprocity is not waiting for something to be returned back to you. Reciprocity is believing is trusting that somewhere down the line it will happen. And there's the power of belief, the power of hope, and the transformative power of trust.
Thank you. How many questions are in the room? How many people want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, so our panelists are not leaving. They are here. They will spend all day with us. So please take time to speak with them and to continue this powerful conversation. So thank you so much for your attention, and especially thank you for sharing together this sacred space of trust, dreams, hopes, present and future. Bring with you this space when it's not easy in your country, when you feel discouraged, when you see corruption, when you see injustice, when you feel betrayed. Remember of this space, of this moment in which all together, several generations, several continents, several countries, several expertise, several talents, in this room, committed all together to act for peace and unity. See you soon, and stay in this sacred space.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this fantastic moment of sharing. And again, applause for this wise panel. It was amazing to have all of them here. So I think what we have learned in this amazing sharing, it's just we are called to build peace. It's our assignment, it's our core responsibility, it's our commitment to act, to build peace in all angles or spheres of life. So thank you very much. So as we all know, we are connected online with the whole world. And we think about those ones who are online. For that reason, we are going to be connected with them on international level, with different countries from different continents, Asia, Europe, Africa. We humbly invite our moderator, Melissa Major from New Humanity, to lead this session. You are most welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Saiki. So this is our final connection, our international connections with cities all around the world. Oof, what an amazing trip we have done so far. Who remember which were the cities of yesterday? No one remembers. Oh my God, guys. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So yesterday we went through, we started to which country? The Holy Land. And then where we went? Trento. No, actually Trento was the last one. So the second one, yes, Philippines. And then we went to Trento. So I think we have a little bit of jet lag. But we're starting today. I'm sorry, I know I have freeze, but I'm trying to understand mimic. Okay. And today we are going again to 3 different continents. We're going to travel to Europe, we're going to travel to the Middle East, which is in Asia, and we're going to travel back here, our amazing hosting continent, Africa. So I will start greeting our friends from Koper Capodistria in Slovenia. That's a city at the beautiful coast of this country. Who have heard about that? None. As a city that is in a coastal area, you can imagine that they have a port, and a port has access to a sea. And what happens when a city has access to the sea? They share multiple entries with cultures and nations that came along all the time. And perhaps it's less known internationally, but this city has been profoundly influenced by a diverse heritage, as you can imagine, that they have crossroads with a lot of people and cultures through the years. So I want you to watch a video that they have prepared for us in order to introduce us to their project.
La gentile città antica situata
This charming ancient city, located in the northeast on the Adriatic coast, has changed its name several times over the course of more than 2,000 years of history, reflecting the historical changes in peoples, cultures, and political organizations.
L'ultimo grande cambiamento avvenne.
The last major change took place in accordance with the Paris Peace Treaty at the end of the Second World War. Post-war socialist Yugoslavia wanted to transform Koper, located near the state border, then the Iron Curtain, into a model socialist proletarian city.
Il socialismo come religione di Stato.
Socialism as the state religion, with rapid industrialization in all sectors, completely transformed the image of the city, once marked by Venetian culture and Slavic hinterland.
Sulle rovine del socialismo.
On the ruins of socialism in the mid-1960s, a community of Christians was born who wanted to realize the gospel words about God's presence among those who are gathered in His name, that is, in His love.
Ovvero nel suo amore. Questa fiamma nel
Over the decades, this flame has attracted more and more people, regardless of their national, cultural, or linguistic background, as well as their beliefs, social class, or age, uniting them in an increasingly diverse social fabric. These more authentic relationships of respect and cooperation have helped to make Koper a new and welcoming home for many native Istrians, representatives of the Italian minority, Serbian and Macedonian Orthodox Christians, Bosnian and Albanian Muslims, individual evangelicals, and many others. Representatives of the municipality are important co-creators of these positive changes in the social context. The city has been given a soul that is becoming increasingly recognizable in the country and the surrounding region. For this reason, it has already been chosen twice as the venue for the prestigious interreligious forum Religions for Peace in the Balkans and Europe. Important Catholic, Orthodox, Evangelical, and Muslim leaders, as well as representatives of social life from 15 countries in southeastern Europe, from Istanbul to Vienna, participated in the forum.
L'incontro è stato accompagnato.
The meeting was also accompanied by well-attended cultural events.
In questa storia vediamo il
In
piano
this
di
story, we see God's plan for unity.
nonostante
And, despite our human limitations, we believe that this fire of friendship will not be extinguished.
I think that I feel very moved with the story we're going to hear about Capodistria and Copper, because it's amazing to see how such differences are not taking us apart as society, but actually they gather us together with a common purpose. We talked yesterday about intention, no? So it's important to see that that intention of living in peace is something that is very meaningful in many cities all around the world. So I want to welcome Robert. He's joining us from Slovenia. Unfortunately, of the many languages that I speak, there are not many, I'm just bragging. I don't speak Slovenian. So we're going to say hello, and then unfortunately we'll have to do like a monologue because we have asked them to send us some key insights about the experience that I will respect and read for you. But first, let's say hello to Robert. Ciao. How are you today? Come stai? Is it cold? Is it hot at your city? No. Ah. That's a good temperature. È un buon clima questo. Thank you, Robert, for being with us, even though we cannot interact live with your language, with your own language. You know that we have asked some questions, no? And we wanted to know more about how are young people and local citizens involved in giving a soul to the city, because in your video you talked about giving a soul, giving this spirit to the city. And you have replied to us that several decades ago in your city, Cooper, it was the young people who were being formed. And in an attempt to relieve the atmosphere and nurture the relationships among Christian religions and other churches, the parish priest activated like a bridge. The young people of that time have since dispersed to other places, like in many countries it happens, carrying with them the spirit of unity and living it out elsewhere, both in the church and in the culture. However, the seeds of friendship and fraternity remain between you. And every new breath of the Spirit rekindles this life, helping new flowers to bloom. Thank you for this this experience that you are sharing with us, as how we are rooted in our culture and on the roots of what makes history in our countries. Am I translating well what you sent to us, Robert? Sto traducendo bene? Non mi sente? Ok, allora, a Robert abbiamo inviato, change language. To Robert we have sent another question. And we ask, What are the steps that they are doing? No, wait. In the video, they talk about that Cooper brings together different groups, many groups. And they've said in their video that the Eastern locals are part of this group, the Italian minority, the Orthodox Serbs and Macedonians, the Bosnian and Albanian Muslims, evangelicals, and many others. So this is a very difficult dialogue. And we wanted to know what was the concrete initiative they took. They spoke a little bit about in the video, but they have explained more that 10 years ago, together with different representatives of Christian churches, they have organized an event, and the name of this event was Together for Europe, which is a movement whose goal is to renew the soul of a secularized Europe. They held outside the city this event at the local Marian Shrine. It was a beautiful experience, I'm quoting, of dialogue and unity among different movements and churches, and the friendship they built still endures today. Every year, when they met in January for the Week of Christian Unity, or in other occasions in daily life, they immediately feel a wave of joy and a renewed hope for a future of peace. That was the event they were sharing with us in the video that had many different faces and people dressing differently. So that was the event. And of course, we have asked them at the end, let's talk about future. Like, what is their vision to continue expanding this initiative of dialogue and interculturality among their neighbors, among their community and cities around Cooper? So they have said, and I will quote, Cooper's experience as a model of good practice in cooperation and coexistence resonates among religious leaders of various faiths and denominations, including priests, pastors, and imams working in the Cooper area. The message of Cooper is this: dialogue and cooperation among communities and groups of different nationalities, religions, opinions, and cultures as are possible at all levels. Indeed, they are an essential part of daily life, giving it ever new meaning and enriching our shared humanity. I would like to applaud for them. I would like to applaud for Robert. Working with them to prepare this moment was a beautiful experience, and I want to acknowledge that because they have worked a lot to give us their views, their answers, and I'm deeply sorry that we couldn't hear from them, but it's my way of recognizing the work that they have done, because I don't speak Slovenian, and I really wanted to bring to you their message. So, Robert, thank you. Grazie. Thank you for being here with us. Grazie per il tuo lavoro, per aver preparato questo per noi e per aver preparato anche il video. Tantissimi saluti a tutta la squadra. Grazie. I would like to fasten also our seatbelts to go to Asia, to another country which is also my home, which is Beirut and the country of Lebanon. So, through these days, we have heard experiences from different cities that have built trust, that have worked with art, with architecture-based, nature-based solutions in order to gather the community and create the city they want. We have heard about how the different relationships that people have within their countries make a path for peace. And they were giving themselves like a soul to their cities, as Capodistria, as Copper has just shared with us. And this next city and the experience that they will share is extremely meaningful for me, because I think that, as for example, other countries in the first day say, cities in the first day, they say there are many creative paths to look for possibilities to involve the community and youth for creating peace together and not awaiting for others to bring peace to us. And as I was saying, I'm very fond on this initiative because they will be showcasing a concrete example of resilience, as Slovenia has shown us today. And it demonstrates the importance of the actions with neighbors within the city that recognize the powerful and amazing work that the rural is doing in order to keep cities arising. So I'm going to introduce Made by Nature. We're going to watch what is that initiative, and then we're going to welcome our friends.
Welcome to Made by Nature. It's where you find all things made in Lebanon. It starts with the foods I love and became well known for promoting, but also all things artisanal, made in Lebanon. We want to revive the old, traditional methods of making things. So the Lebanese clay pottery, Lebanese sickle, Lebanese hammer, etc., and the Lebanese artisanal handicrafts. Lebanese handicrafts needs to take their proper place and be well appreciated. Also, for consumers who can't drive to the villages to artisans, we make these products accessible here for artisans to reach more consumers.
Made by
Nature is a meeting place for families, cultures, young generation, countries, the diaspora with the people of Lebanon. It's a very beautiful place. One comes and feels safe, it's peaceful, you enjoy great coffee and food, buy trusted products, and leave with a big smile on your face and say, I feel better. Mark Bayrouthi of Nature by Mark Bayrouthi, Anthony Rahale of No Garlic, No Onions, we came together to create Made by Nature. He added value, I added value. The Nature team brought its value to the table, as did the No Garlic Onions team. Together, we have now formed one family.
The core business of Nature is agricultural studies, learning resources, all things plants, farming, landscaping, wedding event setup. All along, our CSR was farmers market and Muna promotion, so we always had a space at Nature for farmers market, artisans, and Muna. In 2020, we met Anthony Rahayel from No Garlic, No Onions, and over time felt we shared common values and vision. Anthony had an extensive background in Souk El Aked street food market and Muna. We began filming together in the villages. Then began the collaboration with the farmers market. We joined forces bringing these different elements together. This is how La Campagne en Ville was born. As we filmed more in villages, people kept coming to us saying La Campagne en Ville is great. Make it more regular, not once a month. That was when we looked at making it a permanent market and began Made by Nature. So it's one place with over 700 producers, Muna, artisans, handicrafts, etc. Objective is to say to the producers, focus on making the best product you can, we'll help you with the rest, access to market, branding, etc. We have another initiative called From All of Lebanon to All of Lebanon. It's another way to support Lebanon for those not sure how. Just speak to us. Say, I have this amount of money I wish to donate. We will use it to purchase Muna from a village and give away to another village.
From when we began Made by Nature, I always wanted to tell its story, but I could never get the figures right about number of products and how many people we support, much to Mark's discontent. He'd comment how we need to rewatch and make bloopers from all my errors. The idea isn't the number of families, that's in the hundreds. The idea isn't the number of products, it's the quality being turned around. That's not the point. Point is, we support and help sustain the livelihoods of hundreds of families. We help from A to Z, packaging, nutrition facts, labeling, marketing, training, etc.
I walk into Made by Nature, I see we have made a change for the better, help the country prosper within our capacity. We've given people a glimmer of hope. That's the most meaningful part of this, or me. Despite all the crises Lebanon is enduring, we have contributed something positive to this country. The fact we were able to create Made by Nature in the midst of crises, it will be powerful to tell our kids it was born during the country's hardest times. That is the ultimate accomplishment, which means a lot, and I'm so proud of.
So you don't have to drive all over and spend on fuel and weeks to discover Lebanon. Made by Nature was made for you to come experience it all here.
We want to acknowledge to No Garlic, No Onions for the production of this video. Thank you so much for allowing us to show what you do. And what you share is very meaningful, and Made by Nature is an amazing experience of gathering communities all around the country. With us, I would like to introduce you to Mark and Christian Berruti. They are directly from Made by Nature, the showroom that you have seen in the video.
Hello,
Hi,
Melissa. We are hearing you. We are hearing you.
Ça va?
We are so happy to be with you. Ça va bien?
Oui. Unfortunately, for my friends of Congo, I will continue speaking in English with our friends, even though they also can, if you later want, answer questions in French. So, Mark, Christian, I'm very happy to have you here. And as we know, Lebanon has faced repeated crises all over the years. And yet your story, the story of Made by Nature, reveals a story of resilience. And it shows that cooperation can restore not only spaces as Made by Nature, but relationships between cities, neighborhoods, and rural areas. Mark, let's ask a question here. in a context where the wounds of crisis, instability, and loss are still present, how do you see that creativity and the collective work are helping people to rediscover trust in one another?
Thank you, Melissa. For us, your family name to start with is Melissa Najm in Lebanon.
They are my family in Lebanon.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for giving us the chance to share our story and to share Lebanon's story. When you say Lebanon has faced several crises, just to enumerate them, in 5 years, Lebanon passed from being somehow a rich country to a very poor country. The inflation was great. So just to give you an example, a teacher from a university passed like his salary passed from like 5,000 euros to 50 euros in 1 month. In addition to this, we faced hyperinflation, we faced political instability, regional wars, and many things. We had Beirut blast. So we had crisis from every corner falling on us. So what we did, youth were leaving Lebanon, people were leaving Lebanon to go to Arab countries, to Europe, and everywhere. And we said we wanted to stay in Lebanon, if you want. So in order to stay, we had to be creative and to become resilient. This is the only way that we could have done it, if you want. So we went, as you saw in the village, in the movie, we went to villages. We brought products from villages. We worked with families, with people who wanted to leave the country. And we said, listen, we're not the state. We cannot be the government, but we can help as much as we can. So we started filming those people in villages, and people from abroad Lebanon saw their products and started to buy. And then this community grew. And we started to do farmers market after farmers market. And for us, also, we asked people to come to the city from villages and to sell their products. This way, the community grew. Like now, when you see a jar that we sell in Made by Nature, you don't see the jar. You see the people who did it. You see the love they made in doing the jar. And now the people who are selling are buying the product also can see who made it and vice versa. So this was, if you want, what we did. We didn't stop here. We also tried to be creative. We started the online markets, online movies, and more we did linkages. So people from abroad wanted to buy the products. We helped into exporting them. Then when we found that it's not enough, we started also to be more and more creative. Like now, we created a botanical garden inside Made by Nature, where students and families come from all Lebanon to learn about Lebanon and to learn about how Lebanon is, if you want, resilient from plants to people and everything. So yes, we faced a huge crisis. It never ended. We still live in the crisis, but we wanted to do everything despite the crisis by creating bridges, by, if you want, also to nurture the culture of peace in everything that we do. Because when people can sell a little bit their products and say their villages, stay in their villages and provide to their families, peace will come. And this is how we do it side by side with the community.
Thank you, Mark. As you are a train at high speed, you have spoken really, really fast. I really hope that our translations were able to translate everything you said, because that's the thing. Like, creativity for you is just a natural activity, a natural process that you do each day through your markets, through how to really build bridges through the rural areas and the city. So thank you so much for giving us that input. Just let's try to speak a little bit more at peace. So, merci. So, listening to your story, and also in other moments that we have gathered together to talk, we can see how Made by Nature is not only a local initiative, but it's also a message. And that message can inspire others. And I think this time, and also because of the theme of our event, global institutions like the United Nations, for example, are calling to youth participation. So our question will be now is how do you think that this initiative like yours can reach international institutions or other institutions that can raise awareness and influence broader change as the local initiative as you're doing?
Thank you, Melissa, for this question. I will try to speak as slow as I can. First of all, when you enter Made by Nature, you read everywhere quotes, you read everywhere targets, speaking about, if you want, our values and our beliefs. And we wanted our goals to be a global ones. So everywhere here, you see ESG principles. Everywhere here, you see SDG principles. Like, for example, SDG number 2, which is zero hunger, or SDG 13, which is climate action, or life on Earth, SDG 15. So we try to align with the global sustainable development goals and ESG. This allowed us from the first year to become Climate Act champion in Lebanon. So because of all what we are doing, and also we were awarded by a program from United Nations called Switchers, an award. Why? Because the way we do business is changing the mentality over the Mediterranean. That's why it's called Switchers. So basically, we set goals, we partner with organizations, and we align every single act according to those, if you want, principles. In addition to this, we work through to Aishi targets also to protect the biodiversity. And because, as I told you, we partner with organization, but also we partner with Lebanese who live abroad. I don't know if you know, but in Lebanon, we are only 4 million people, but outside Lebanon, we are 16 million. So these 16 million people are, if you want, also our ambassadors everywhere. We try also to work with them. We partner, and this is very important in Lebanon, with TV stations, with radios, with school, to promote what we need as humans everywhere, to promote the lifestyle of care, the lifestyle of sharing, to have eco-citizens, youth citizens. So we teach children in Lebanon practical solution to the larger problems like composting, like how to be zero waste, how to do workshops. So this is what we try to do. We try also, because Lebanon is multi-confessional, so we try also to work with a different religion. And this year alone, 5,000 students visited our botanical gardens from many regions, also to have dialogue and everything. So this is how we're trying to do. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Mark. Yes.
And slowly.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Christian. I'm very humbled to have you here as part of my family, but also part of this human family all around the world, sharing your experience with Made by Nature. And I also want to thank again Anthony and No Garlic, No Onions for the production of the video. I know it's yours, but thank you also for sharing your story and changing also the relationships that we have with the cities and the rural areas, with creativity and innovation. Thank you. So, yes, you saw Mark said that I am Melissa Najam, and that's true, because in Lebanon, that's my name. I'm married to a Lebanese. So when they say Madame Najam, yes, it's me. But in Colombia, I'm just Melissa. Whoa. So for me, it's very emotional. Like, I get very emotional when we talk with different cities all over the world, because we can see the differences that they are, but also the many, many things that we have in common. So last but not least, and the amazing city that's going to take us to the last international connection will be Pajule. Our African friends can say where Pajule is. Pajule. Is in the northern of Uganda. So how many Ugandans do we have here in the room? My dear friend, yes. So a big applause to Pajule, a city in Uganda. And why we wanted to close with this amazing story? Because as we have seen, the life in cities and the things that we can do within our cities are deeply connected with all the territories in our country. And many of the Pajule's inhabitants are farmers, are livestock keepers, and thanks to their work, they are able to cultivate a variety of crops. Education in Pajule, but I know that in other countries in the African continent, remains a challenge. And we want to close with education, because education is extremely important for cities to build communities and to care and to build bridges for caring. So despite the challenges that Pajule city has lived, they have become a remarkable example of peace education, and we're going to watch why.
In the heart of northern Uganda, where the scars of war still linger, a quiet revolution has been unfolding for 18 years. It began in 2007 with a simple but radical idea.
PTU is a non-profit charitable organization which has been in operation in this area of Pajule, Pade, Uganda, being an area which has just come out from war. Many people who went through without education, their future has been ruined by the war, and people realize that education is key in life.
According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Chuli district in northern Uganda remains one of the most impoverished regions in the country. But PTU is changing that.
He has done a lot for the community. I just don't need to talk more about other aspects, because we have education, we have health, we have community empowerment, but basically, with the small women's group I'm running, really issues of women empowerment and women's rights have been uplifted in this organization.
At the very beginning, the idea behind forming this organization was to support the vulnerable children in their education.
It started with a feeding center, a modest effort to ensure children wouldn't drop out of school simply because they couldn't afford lunch.
Over 60 pupils were being given meal. These are children who come from government-aided school, and most of them could not afford having lunch at school. And the organization decided to provide a feeding center where many were eating from there. And then the idea of constructing a school came. Now, as I talk, it is serving over 300 learners, and most of these are children coming from very poor background.
Out of the 20, around 15 of us have now marched up to higher level of education, where we have finished in a different field. There are some of us who are educationists, teachers, primary teachers, secondary teachers, like for myself. They are supporting the community to reduce the rate of crime in the country, because when you educate a child, you educate a nation at large.
But education alone wasn't enough. Children were dropping out because their families couldn't afford medical care.
Financial problem at home made some of them to drop out of school. Some of them, when they are sick, especially those one in lower level education, they remain at home. The parents do not have money to pay for their medical bill.
Peace Together Uganda has opened a medical center called Maria Maling Medical Center, which is providing subsidized kind of medical services. These now become the hope and the alternative where they can get the subsidized drugs they buy, and people are giving positive feedback to us. And many times we are recommending for any enabling environment for this health facility to cooperate with the government and do a kind of partnership.
PTU believes that empowering women uplifts entire communities. In a region where women have long borne the weight of conflict and poverty, giving them tools to thrive is not just an act of justice, it's a strategy for peace.
The women in support with a small funding from Peace Together Uganda through other partners have done a lot. We have women in various businesses, which if time allows, you will be able to also see what the women are doing. Others are in the market, others are doing commercial farming, various aspects of business. With that alone, we also have a small VSLA group, which every week we meet. Sometimes we tend to meet even once in a month for other meetings, but our savings is weekly. So with that, we keep borrowing this money, we take back with interest, we are able to uplift the business. Even our social life, we are able to share so many things as women. And you find in that, it has really helped a lot.
Peace Together Uganda doesn't just teach peace, it practices it. In a region once fractured by conflict, PTU has become a quiet force for reconciliation.
Another group we have are the elders. They act as the local court. Sometimes you find they are the one who handle the disputes among the community. And they are also the ones that people go to in case we have some conflict in the community, in case we have something that we need to understand. They are the people who help us in handling this. Another area that Peace Together is working on tirelessly is peace building. In this, we have ever been organizing peace conference. We do what we call peace lecture. We discuss what is disrupting peace in the community and how can we fight it. Sometimes we bring people with a very high level of knowledge to teach our locals, and it has been very successful.
Peace Together Uganda's leadership is rooted in the community. From the mayor to civil servants, this local connection ensures services reach those who need them most.
Right now, I'm assistant town clerk at the town council. I finished my undergraduate in public administration right now, pursuing my master's of business administration from Gulu University.
I am also directly a beneficiary. My children are studying from this same school of St. Peter and Paul Nursery and Primary School.
The people in the board are people who are within the community, and they come from almost various sectors. We have the leadership, so we are able to link up the services to the community and from the community to the CBO. So with this, we are really very grateful. Thank you.
Peace Together Uganda is more than an NGO. It's a movement, a commitment, a living testament that even in the most broken places, peace can be built together.
You see, they have express in other words what we have said during these days and also what was being said in the previous panel. So I want to welcome Father Leoncio. He's going to connect with us and we're going to greet also the participants and the board of the project, the Peace Together Uganda project, because they're also connected online with us. They couldn't be here, but Father Leoncio is going to bring their greetings. Father Leoncio, good morning. Good morning. Yes, there's still morning in Rome. Well, I forgot to say, he's connecting not from Uganda, but he's connecting from Sophia University, which is in Florence, Italy. I'm sorry. How are you today?
I am good.
I'm so happy you're here with us because I wanted to say once again that your work is truly remarkable. And of course, we would love to hear more about the experience. But since the video is well explained, I want to focus on a very important question that I also felt in the room the last day and today, this morning. And I want to ask, how do you approach these realities that you have said in the video, conflict, and that this initiative is more than education itself, in order to bring about a lasting and a systemic transformation of the educational and unity mindset?
My approach, and I would say our approach, could be first is to know your situation, is to know the needs of your community. This self-awareness of community life, the needs of community, will be a source of inspiration of what step to take. So for us in Uganda, experience, this came from since 1962 that Uganda got independence. We have had 9 presidents until now. All of them came to power through a military coup, through war. So this is very strong experience, even before we were born. And then, northern Uganda, where I grew, lived and studied, and became a priest. For 22 years, I'd been in war. We lived in the camps. So with what video has already provided, this is what local situation was. Then also to be aware of the neighbors. Countries like Kenya and Tanzania never had such a war. So this would give us like a light that why is Uganda at war? Why not Kenya and Tanzania? But of course, what Uganda had still also we shared with Congo and South Sudan. These are our neighbors. And during our primary school, secondary school, with this in our mind, to be contributors of peace, builders of peace. So this is how I approach this awareness of our history, awareness of our community, because with that, it provides the background for what to do, for what can be done. But also dialogue, the speed of dialogue with the leaders, the current leaders is important. Because as young people, how can you stand in community unless leaders permit you? So the speed of dialogue becomes very important. And for us was the church. The experience from the church, the leaders of the church has been very important. And then my meeting with the cadres of the movement, the Focolare movement, unity across social backgrounds. So this is first aspect that I can share with you, that knowledge of situation, and then secondly, unity with leaders in dialogue can make a contribution to begin something that can last. Now we are 18 years old. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Leoncio. One follow-up, very, very quick. But how then the program, Peace Together Uganda, motivates youth people to continue with your mission?
Yes, PTU program can motivate youth. Youth should be aware, should be sensitive to the needs of the situation, of their situation. And you should be interested in the life of the community, in the life of their town, of their cities. Because in this way, when you are interested as a young person to contribute to a better community, and then PTU becomes an inspiration to you and to many others. So like for young people, we engage them into sports. And for all our programs, when we organize them, who are at the forefront are the young people. Today with the social media, young people mobilize our conferences that can bring up to 5,000 people. So, but also another aspect that is concrete for young people, especially my community, if we visit prisons, who do we find the highest number are the young people. So if young people have more problems, so PTU can become an inspiration, a motivation that what can we do to improve lives of the young people to live a better life and become leaders for peace.
Thank you, Father Leoncio. Yes, thank you. When we first gathered this experience, I was extremely excited about sharing it with you all today because we were deeply inspired by this initiative and we wanted to close this session with them because it gave us hope. And education is one of the ways, it's one of the paths, but it's also together with reading, as Father Leoncio said, the many difficulties that can arise. So if it's through education, if it's through art, if it's through helping families to recover from medical health or to help their kids being able to go to school, or to other leaders, the experience of Echo for Leaders, in order to build a way, a new culture, a new generation that uses it was formation of conscience. I still don't know how to pronounce it in French, but it got deeply in my soul. Because as Father Leoncio said, this kind of initiative shows us how it is important to build bridges for peace through different creative ways, starting from our educating ourselves and also educating ourselves together with our community. So thank you. Thank you, Father Leonce, for being here with us. And we are concluding this session. We are concluding these 3 sessions of traveling all over the world. And it's amazing. I'm being very, very emotional and humble of being able to share it with you. I've seen that my friends have gathered me here. That means that I have to go. But I think that each project, each story share a part of whatever we are also living in our cities. So a big applause to all these 8 cities that share the experience. And let's carry out this spirit forward with the sessions that are coming. And let's remember to think and act locally, but also inspire other actions globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you for sharing all those great experiences, which have the visions, which are the good practices. I was very touched by the experience from the wounds to the living business, international business from Lebanon. And then from interfaith, from dialogue, from interreligious experiences, from education for all, from peace together. Those are the great experiences that shows we can build a more peaceful world. So thank you very much for this amazing session in this morning. And then we invite you to come back here at 3 p.m. And for those ones who are online, we are going to meet again at 5 p.m. Kenyan time. Thank you very much and enjoy your meal. Okay, so welcome back for this last session of our international conference, Cities, Communities, Care, Youth in Action for Sustaining Peace. It's time now to take action, to go out and share what we have experienced here, to act as if it were our last day of sharing our talents and experiences for a more universal fraternity, a more peaceful world. We now invite our moderator, Ghislaine Kahambu from Eco for Leaders, Kinshasa. You're most welcome. Who is going to take us with her panel through the strategies, pathways, and the tools to be followed and used for our next steps in our communities, wherever we are in each present moment. So you are most welcome.
Bonsoir à tout le monde.
Good evening, everyone.
Nous sommes ici, ça fait déjà quelques jours. Et
We've been here for a few days now. And as they say, the best things come at the end.
on a eu plusieurs plats depuis qu'on est ici.
We've had several courses since we've been here,
On a mangé, on a consommé, je ne sais pas ce que
and
vous
we've
avez
eaten and consumed, I don't know what's on your minds and in your hearts. Now we have a very interesting panel. Action towards a united world. First, let's welcome our panelists with a round of applause.
Accueillons nos panélistes. Comme je l'ai dit, thank you.
As I said, this is a special panel because it's really concrete.
Parce que c'est
Even if
vraiment
we're
concret.
sleepy, we're not
Même
going
si
to
on a
sleep.
sommeil, on va pas dormir. Action pour
Action for a united world.
les mots-clés de ces panels, c'est alliance. Ils vont nous donner
The key words of these panels, these alliances, will give us, through their presentations, their words, not theories, but strategies, tools, ways to build a united world.
stratégies, des outils, de voies pour construire le monde uni. Alors nous sommes très heureux de les avoir.
So we are very happy to have them here with us,
D'être vraiment
and I urge us to be really attentive
ces ingrédients qu'ils vont
so
nous
that we don't miss
présenter.
any of the ingredients they are going to present to us. Who will help us to take action so that everything is ready for a united world?
Pour que tout soit temps pour le monde uni. Alors, sans plus tarder,
So, without further ado,
on commencer avec notre sœur Chelsea, elle est kenyane.
we will start with our sister Chelsea, who is Kenyan and who has worked on a major project, the United World Project.
United World Project. Déjà, le projet dit
The project already mentions the key words, the alliances.
Chelsea, tu as la
Chelsea, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'll be speaking in English.
So today, there are many paths towards a more united world, and the United World Communities is a platform that opens up these pathways. Have you ever asked yourself, what can I do here now that truly makes a difference? If you study, work, or identify in any of these areas of human life, economy and work, peace and human rights, active citizenship and politics, communication and media, art and social commitment, health, sports, ecology, interculturality and dialogue, education and research, then this is your opportunity. And each of us, with our passion, talents, and personal inclinations, is called to work for it, and not in an abstract way, but in your local community, with your hands on the ground, transforming the reality around you. The United World Community is one of the 3 pillars of the United World Project, a global initiative of the NGO New Humanity. It is a global network of people, groups, and institutions that create a space for those who listen to the local needs to build solutions together by turning community values like fraternity, unity, and Ubuntu into concrete actions of every day. We recognize that it is in our cities and communities that a more fraternal future is lived, built, and felt. In the United World Communities, the global and local realities meet to transform a more inclusive society. So, for example, if in Medellin, Colombia, has enacted policies that benefit the community, this could be used as a blueprint for Nairobi to do the same. And by facilitating this exchange, we are creating a global network of local action. One of the principles of the United World Communities is intergenerationality. This is an event where the youth are the protagonists for change. However, by inviting the different age groups to the table, allows for a greater exchange of experiences, wisdom, and fresh perspectives. It's not about giving the young people a seat on the table, but building new tables, allowing genuine partnerships and leadership, thus allowing for skill development, international collaboration, mentorship that strengthens the entire community. In a world full of complex challenges, it's not enough to stop at theory or online debates. We need real people who take action on the ground, and there are 2 pathways to help in this. One is to register in an already active project in your area so that it becomes part of the international network. The other is to create a new community based on a new idea or a local need, using the shared guidelines and tools to launch a new hub for change. By choosing a community, you're not just joining a group, you're acting every day to face the challenges of a fragmented society, building bridges, creating real impact, and inspiring a more united future. So what are the benefits of joining this network? Connection. You connect with like-minded people locally while being part of a global movement. Growth. You develop practical skills through training in international collaboration, such as with ECO4 leaders, network management, and through tools such as 6x1 methodology. You gain a deep, practical knowledge on sustainability and social change. You engage in intergenerational exchange, learning from and mentoring across all ages. On the unitedworldproject.org website, you can find more information on how to participate, and you can also sign up through the form Benvenuto nella United World Community. And also to add, in this week, New Humanity published Together to Care, 2025, Volume 2, a document which presents the life of both local communities all around the world in their efforts to make a concrete contribution to a united world. In every area of life imaginable, they live and work for the flourishment of people and communities, which will be available online soon in the New Humanity website. And at the end of the day, the main objective is to create resilient, welcoming, and inclusive societies by promoting personal, social, spiritual development of participants, while fostering positive transformation in local communities. So I ask you, what is your path? What is your contribution to the world we all want to build together? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Please give him another round of applause, because he has just given us some essential ingredients for advancing unity. And I remember one phrase, the power of synergy. Thank you very much again. We will now move on to our second panelist, Carlos. It is very difficult to introduce someone who embodies so many different aspects. In Carlos, there is the whole scientific side. He studied philosophy, theology, and archaeology. And what he is going to give us now is what touches me. In one person, we find this academic aspect and the practical aspect. And that is what he is going to present to us. And what he is going to tell us is how much we can heal when we work in connection. What wonders we can give to humanity. How much we can advance the network, unity in the world. Carlos, you have the floor.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I will speak in English. So, well, I have to introduce you a little bit about a project of peace education that's called Living Peace International. But allow me to share some important moment in my life that sign this way since 40 years ago till now. I spent 30 years in Middle East, always in countries in war. I found myself in Jerusalem. I teach in a school, elementary school. And the very first day of the school, imagine the situation. I get in the class and one boy raised his hand. Can I ask you a question? Yes. Can you tell us what means peace? I was so shocked. I expected to ask my name, where I am from, or something about the classroom. What do you want to know? We would like to know what we can do one day when there will not be any more war. And for me, it was a knife in my heart, because I realized that all those kids, 10 years old, they born in war. It was the time of the Palestinian Revolution. They grew up in war, and they never had one day of peace. Imagine. A few months later, I was walking on the street, and a bomb exploded just in the moment that I passed through. So I found myself on the floor with blood everywhere, around people dead, people shouting, asking for help. That was a big shock, because those things coming from South America, I saw only in televisions or in the cinema. Now that became part of my life. When I left the hospital, a question was in my heart. Finally, Carlos, what are you doing for peace? I saw around me the culture of war. And the culture of peace, where is it? What is my role to somehow change this culture of war in culture of peace? But I didn't know. Because in front of the problem in the Middle East, what can I do? But one day, I was walking on the street, going to church to pray, and suddenly a group of youth, they circled around me and started to throw me stones because they thought I am a Jewish. It was a difficult moment. And the soldiers from far, when they saw the situation, they started to run to help me. I thought that if they arrive in time, all those youth will finish in prison in very bad conditions. So I tell, run before they arrive. They ran away, but one running, they fell down, and I saw blood in his leg. For me, it was spontaneously to take my handkerchief to put in the place just to stop the blood. And I told him, go, quickly. 3 days later, at night, someone dropped the door of my house. I went to open, and with big surprise was that boy who came to return me back my handkerchief clean and a bread that his mother prepared for me. And for me, it was a moment of light in my heart, in my soul. Yes, if I want to give a contribution to the culture of peace, I have to start with the culture of love. That means to love everyone beyond the religions, the culture. And that's helped me a lot because I spent 12 years in Jerusalem and then 2 years in war in Lebanon and then in Turkey and then in Iraq with the beginning of the war. And then in Cairo, in Egypt, where I spent another 12 years. And in Egypt, when the Spring Revolution started, I was working in a school, and I said, enough. I cannot anymore. I have to do something. I remember that in the Focolare movement, they have a dice they call the dice of love, without numbers, but with sentences, very simple sentences, to make the kids learn how to love concretely. And I say, why not to change the dice of love for dice of peace? And I did it. So I did this dice, and I presented to the class. The students, they were so excited. And I said, look, this is the dice of peace. From now on, every morning, one of you will throw the dice in front of the class. And the sentence that is up, that will be the program to live for peace all day in the school. And 15 minutes before we go home, we stop the lesson and we share our experiences. We remember that sentence, how we spend our day for peace in the school. And every day at midday to do the time out for peace. I never expected that change, a big change. One mother called me on Sunday, Mr. Carlos, speak with my son, is crying because he's not convinced that Sunday the school is closed and he wants to go to school on Sunday. They were so motivated. The bullying disappeared. The experiences were so beautiful. They involved parents, teachers. All the school was involved, 60 dice of peace, and all teachers begin the class with the dice of peace, to know how to live for peace. Even when I went to the toilet, the lady who cleaned the toilet showed me a small dice. Mr. Carlos, this is my dice. This is my sentence today. Everyone in the school living the dice of peace. Very fast, that spread all around the world. And it was incredible because in 2014, I had the opportunity to present in the European Parliament the project. I'll be honest, I was so nervous. I have a diarrhea for 1 week, nervous what I will do in front of those people of the Parliament. But when I finished speaking, everyone stand up to clap and clap. I was surprised. 2015, we presented the United Nations in the International Day of Peace, and 2016 in UNESCO. and never stopped. What's happened? These dies that start with 12 students, after 13 years, there are 3 million in 136 countries of the world. They are Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, all religions. And the incredible thing is that these dyes, when arrived in the United States, in Philadelphia, they create in one clinic the therapeutic dyes of peace. This dyes of peace was inspired in the art of love of Chiara Lubich, and then was transformed in the therapeutic dyes of peace. 8 different dyes for 8 different therapies. Arrive in Mexico, and they create a group of Muslim, Buddhists, Jews, Christian, the interreligious dyes of peace. Each phase of the dyes have a sentence of a different religion. Imagine this one. This is the ecological dyes of peace in Belgium. They said, we want a clean earth. So the dyes, but this dye transform it in clean earth. And start the dyes of peace for psychology, for ethics, for engineers, for the family, for art, for music, for sports, for Christmas. The dyes of peace in Braille for the blind people. More than 100 different versions of the dyes of peace. So even the dyes of peace, people in prison, they asked the permission to have the dyes of peace, and they made their own dyes of peace of the prisoners. Convents, Rotary, Scout, an incredible network, and 120 different peace organizations start to work with us as partners. And that was the real key. If we arrived to that large number of countries and people, it's because we start working together with this 120 organization, loving the project of the other as your own project. And that's what happened with UNIP. Gloria, she will speak about, she represents UNIP. We know UNIP from the very first day here. We used to do with the organizations a lot of activities just to build this culture of peace for different ages. I think most of you know American Got Talent, or Britain Got Talent, or, well, we create Peace Got Talent. And children and students from all around the world present amazing songs and dances inspired in peace. And this year, UNIP, they took the responsibility to organize and present this international festival. UNIP, another organization, and we trust 1,000% of them. This year was the first time that 22,000 youth, they follow the program. So that's to say, come on, the only way is together. We know that. It's so simple, but we have really to love the other project as our own project and try to see what we can do together. So I will conclude with something that for me is always in my heart. I don't know exactly in English the sentence, but say, a falling tree make more noise than a growing forest. And this is true. We are always in front of this falling tree that exists. We know the war, all the problems that we spoke about. But we, with millions of millions, we are this forest that is growing up. Events like this one give voice to the forest. And we have to create all ways to give really voice to so many people that are working, giving their life to the culture of peace. Thank you so much.
On dit en tout cas, vraiment. Applaudissez encore Carlos. Je n'ai même pas commenté.
And I didn't even comment on the tip there. And he insisted on going alone. As we heard, we're not going far, but with the hope that there is hope.
Comme on l'a entendu.
You've heard about the consequence of connections. When you throw the dice, for example, you may be alone when you throw them, but it's immediately what comes out that connects you. You've heard about the consequence of connections. When you roll the dice, for example, you may be alone when you roll them, but it's what comes out right away that connects you. And I'm sure all of us here are running an organization. But you heard about connections. He mentioned UNIP, he mentioned Echo for Leader. Now we're going to move on.
Sorry, I forgot something important, because maybe some one of you are thinking, how can I know more about Living Peace? Where can I find a dice? So the website is livingpeaceinternational.org. And well, I will be here today and tomorrow morning, so if someone will like to ask or for some materials or whatever. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. So you can visit the Living Peace website, but I would like to emphasize once again the power of love which connects us and drives us forward. Now we're going to move on to another point, another tool to help us work synergistically and see what that brings. She is a business owner and also runs Gâteau. Madam, over to you. Thank you very much, Ghislaine. Good evening, everyone. To summarize, we're going to try to cover 15 years of Gâteau in 2 minutes. Because I'm sure all the members of Gâteau have asked themselves the question, what was I born to bring to my community? And to answer that question, university professors got together to see how they could have a different kind of impact on their community. And today, Gâteau is a network of universities and NGOs for community compensation for projects and CO2 emissions through service learning. The mission of Gâteau, in the hope of universal brotherhood, is to support young people and encourage active cooperation between students and local communities of different cultures, religions, and nationalities in the fight against climate change. In the spirit of a united world, all our projects aim to create positive, sustainable change for nature and for the empowerment of people. Gâteau's objective is to empower and support young people, African universities and NGOs, to carry out sustainable, integrated, community-owned projects in the field of protection and development. It is funded as a carbon offset project. Gâteau also wants to establish Green Africa Together CO2 compensation certification and create an African network for community carbon offset projects. We also want to develop appropriate names, criteria, and indicators for small-scale community carbon offset projects in Africa. Gâteau is currently present in 16 African countries with international coordination that I share with Dr. Amadou Badi, who is Senegalese.
But in each community, there is local coordination, made up of academics and members of New Humanity, if they are present. Otherwise, we collaborate directly with associations and NGOs. Our alliances with Gateau. Gateau cannot work alone. That is why I am here today. So, Gateau needs to connect with each of you here. So today, we are here to see with Together for New Africa how we can continue to make an impact through the leaders who have already shaped our continent and our communities by providing them with sustainable solutions. Because we have found that we have common values: unity, universal brotherhood, respect for culture, diversity, consolidation, and peace.
So, with the leadership training you have received, Gateau wants to add training on community projects related to climate and SDGs so that the young people trained can be mentors for Gateau projects and facilitators too when they go out into the communities. Our strategy with Gateau's member universities and their international partners is to offer training and service learning certification modules, which enables us to connect communities with their needs and student groups. Our areas of action include renewable energy, agriculture, sustainable serviculture, clean cooking, infrastructure and sustainable mobility, and waste management. Our training modules cover project development, project implementation, project monitoring, project evaluation, and training for beneficiary communities. However, we still try to give them what they need to take care of the facilities made available to them and to create international partnerships on climate issues. What is learning through community service? It is the strengthening of the capacities and skills of teams of young students and local and international NGOs through our training modules, enabling them to conduct research in their communities and, based on social management, propose sustainable solutions for their communities. All projects reduce greenhouse gases and meet the essential needs of the communities that support them in a spirit of universal brotherhood, without distinction of race or religion, as one family. Our journey. As I said, we are active in several countries. In Senegal, we have been able to carry out renewable energy projects. We have installed a solar system for a school to replace fossil fuels and diesel, which will prevent CO2 emissions for 20 years. Solar electrification projects in clinics for lighting during childbirth, surgical operations, refrigeration of medicines and incubators. You cannot imagine the joy of the staff at being able to carry out their work in the light. Imagine for a moment giving birth by torchlight or by the light of a Nokia mobile phone. Some babies have been given this name because the midwife used the light from a Nokia mobile phone torch to deliver their children. In Senegal, we have also been able to implement projects to provide access to drinking water and sanitation for better health. Still in Senegal, we have solar system projects for cooling and income generation at the community level. We also have solar dryers that we have tried to offer as a group. In terms of reforestation, we also have climate projects in Senegal and Burkina Faso. Because we all know that trees store carbon and reduce CO2 in the atmosphere. Reforested soil and biomass store carbon. Still in the field of renewable energy, we have also launched biogas projects to replace firewood and release less CO2. In terms of environmental education, we raise awareness at the community level to encourage people to take care of our shared home, because we only have one planet. Here are some basic principles of climate services to put into practice once we return home. Avoid CO2 emissions. Replace the use of polluting fossil fuels with clean, renewable energies. Prevent emissions caused by the burning of agricultural residues and waste. Reduce the use of single-use plastic and aluminum packaging. Use energy-efficient measures. Clean, low-consumption cooking. Here, we have tried to encourage communities to switch from heating systems that emit CO2. Instead of plastic bags, for example, we encourage people to make reusable organic fabric bags for shopping, in order to really limit the use of plastic bags when shopping at the market or supermarket. These are very simple projects that you can initiate once you are back home, in your neighborhood, among your close friends and family, suggesting to mothers that they really avoid using plastic bags. We are also encouraged to capture and store carbon in trees and tall plants. Promote reforestation and forest generation projects, organic recultivation, and agroforestry. Quantifying this climate service in tons of CO2 equivalent is what we are asked to do because we all left somewhere to come here. We took vehicles and motorcycles before flying here, and we also used other means of transportation to get here. We have all polluted the environment. So, through simple projects like this or reforestation projects, we are trying to offset our carbon footprint. Even just using paper packaging made from old newspapers or old rags, anything we can make with them would really help to protect our shared home. Gâteau needs partnerships. Because over the past 15 years, we have worked with many students, and we salute them because they truly love their neighbors. Driven by a desire to make an impact in their community, they didn't look at the means. They got together and they went to schools for school projects like this. They sleep in classrooms, they use our bathrooms, and even though they come from all over, they give their all to help a community live well and protect our environment. So today, we are all invited to support the Gâteau projects. By visiting the website, you will see lots of projects that young students have proposed. Choose one, calculate your carbon footprint, and then try to donate $15, $30, or $50 to help a project come to fruition. So when we take that, we don't multiply the number of tons we produce and then try to pay for it. Support us.
Avoid reducing CO2 emissions in nature. And in light of everything we've said over the past few days, we're here. I would really like to tell young people that we are truly counting on you to make an impact on our communities. There are 14 of you, but there are many of us here today. If each of you impacts even just 5 people, imagine that. If those 5 people also impact others, things will change.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
What I wanted to comment on, he said at the end. Action for a united world. Alliance, connection. And we are moving forward. So we are going to wrap up. You find this interesting, don't you? It's all very concrete. We are going to conclude our panel with Miss Gloria, who is a peace ambassador and president of UNAHAB. Madam, you have the floor.
Merci. Good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Gloria Monyeva from the Youth Network of Interreligious Brotherhood Africa. Just tell me if I am too fast. I'll slow down. Slow down. Yes. Okay, I'll slow down. Thank you. So I am here as a youth, as a young person, because of the wise old people, or young at heart, who advised and counseled me to where I am. That's basically what UNIB is. UNIB focuses on intergenerational dialogue and peer teaching in terms of experiences towards 4 areas. The environmental aspect, climate action, which is SDG 13. SDG 6, which is towards clean sanitation. SDG 16, which is towards peace. SDG 17, which is towards partnership and collaboration. At the same time, SDG 5, because we are talking about women and equality. And the reason as to why I would love to share my experience with you today, especially as a person who's aspiring to be a true Pan-African, is to recognize the efforts of our ancestors, of our founders of our nations, who showed us the way on what makes us authentic. So currently, UNIB is in almost 8 countries. We have 5 in West Africa: Togo, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Guinea. I think it's Equatorial Guinea, sorry. We also have Ghana. We have Ivory Coast. Then in East Africa, we have Tanzania and Kenya. And then recently, we officially recognized Madagascar as one of our branches too. And what we have in all these countries is the peace amongst youth and the willingness of the youths to share experiences on what they believe conflict is and how to prevent conflict from escalating to war, but using our experiences to be hope. Where have you lost me? Okay, perfect, fantastic. So, and that is what basically we're trying to do. If you look at how we work in 4 thematic areas. Again, as I said, climate action, equality, collaboration, peace as our core factor, and of course, in terms of development, industrial innovation, SDG 9. And the thing that stands out for us the most is for us to connect with other networks. So, as you've heard, we did start with Living Peace 5 years ago during COVID, and we were doing it online. We weren't even sure if it will work. We have never met Carlos before. The first time it was actually because of Elephants for Peace, and then I was really inspired to understand what it means to start to live in peace, living peace, which means comes from within. Before you share peace, you must have it from within. And at that time, because we were working on peace, many of us young youths were not sure on how to ensure we can spread peace if our community itself was not of peace. So where UNIB is centered, it's centered between 2 constituencies in Nairobi. The headquarters, that is. We have one in Embakasi constituency, and the other one is in Kasarani constituency. And in Embakasi constituency, we are located near the second largest dam site in the world, the Dandora dam site. And we work with youths from there. And if you sit down and listen to what they're going through, my goodness, you feel hopeless. You want to be the hope, but you do not know how to help them. And it was a very big challenge for us. And the initiator, who's Father Patrick, the father who was dancing with us, we got to know him because when we had an activity in the Catholic Church at Njiru, he danced with us, and then the youth felt, okay, we can tell him our problems. So we went and disturbed him. We asked him, now what are we going to do? Because the Dandora dam site is exceeding and the environment is being polluted. Our water resources, we do not have them. And then he said, okay, I can help you as a guidance, but the answer lies in your heart. But at that time, for us getting the answers with our heart, we had so many hopeless cases that it was a little bit of an issue to try and figure out. And he did try to help us. At the same time, we did not yet get to know what it means to live in peace. And so when we collaborated with Carlos, we were able to realize, okay, so this is what I need to do as an individual. And once I am able to do it on my own, I'm able to give peace, to share peace with others. And that's what happened. And through that, we had our mental health counseling, which we do it for free within our communities for single mothers who have been kicked out of their families just because they dropped out of school, especially young girls, teenage girls who dropped out of school when they were pregnant. It's the harsh reality. It's the harsh reality when a young girl cannot afford a single leaflet of a sanitary pad, and they are forced to either sell themselves into prostitution or they're under gender-based violence just in order to access it, or they have to drop out of school, or they have to use plastic materials to use them as sanitary products because they cannot afford one. And therefore, amongst us youths, we had youths who were very good in terms of interpreting policies. And that is what we're doing. We are using the resources, which is us, the youths, from whichever field that they're blessed with. The dancers who you saw here are not professional dancers, all of them. Some are lawyers, some are international relations, some are doing development studies. But through the dancing and the singing, it's the time that you can shake and be free and be together and get to understand. And you know, when you are, it's our way of communion, you see, as an interreligious group. And from there, we noticed environment. And yesterday, we had Ashley from Laudato Si. So we started to analyze who in Kenya can we access that can help us to understand the ecology. And we got Laudato Si. What I'm doing here is to show you the connections of how UNIP does with other organizations in order to get the existing resources and to still be the peace of the world. Yes, it is true, we do have high rate of unemployment, but at the same time, God cannot bless what you don't have. And that's something that we deal with as youths. Last thing that we do is to try and foster ethical development, and especially through civic engagement. This is something that is close to my heart because in the area that we live in, during elections, our youths are the ones that are used by the politicians in spreading hate, for lack of a polite word. And it's something that we had to deal with it. And in order to tackle the tribalism and us as the youths being used that way, we just had to train them on civic engagement, to learn their constitution, to simplify the words, the importance of peace. It is very key that, especially for now, to have the intergenerational dialogue. We've had other priests, of course, through the Assumptionist fathers, as well as the Oblate sisters, and other young at heart, such as Carlos. We have them who have been there to try and help us and shape what we want our future to look like. African needs to stand, especially at this moment where people choose money over ethical development, which is really wrong. And I am so happy and glad to be part of an era where the youth are finally realizing that they need to be part of the ethical development. And how can they do that? By being ambassadors of peace, by looking at the interconnection between ecology, peace, minerals, and our natural resources. For more information, please do not hesitate to find us. We are very reachable. I can understand French and I can learn Portuguese. Thank you and God bless you all.
En tout cas, je me mets même debout pour remercier nos panélistes. Comme vous avez suivi avec moi, Action pour un monde uni, ce sont deux pas qui sait combien chacun de nous a à raconter.
So these actions for the other world are steps. Each of you share one step that you're making after this meeting.
Je nous conseille, quand nous
Steps, networks, connections. And when we go back home,
peut-être dans notre avenue,
so let's continue to network in our own cities, in our neighborhoods,
peut-être c'est à l'ambassade de Belgique où je travaille.
also in Kinshasa, in our cities.
Avec Carlos, d'ailleurs j'ai déjà
demandé. To be in networking, connected with Carlos, with Chelsea.
C'est-à-dire, même pour vos structures, connexion.
We need also lawyers, we need the structures, we need networks. Those are the indicators that will allow us to see how much we have progressed towards another world. So I thank all of you for that.
Applaudissements, mesdames et messieurs, pour tous les panélistes.
So another applause for all of this, for this round table, for all the members of this round table. As you know, we're here with us. This is our last evening together. So do not hesitate. Go and contact them. We are all leaders from organizations, NGOs, associations. So this is the moment to take stock, to recapitulate, to come up with our conclusions. So you see all the links with Laudato with greening, African greening together, so we can live in peace. Also, all these organizations, we can do things together and really contribute to peace. So whoever started, who started this meeting, this conference? So when we depart from here, everything starts when we leave. So this was only the warming up. The real thing comes when we go back home. Even if you're tired, you look at the photos of Nairobi. If you feel tired, maybe you have the contact. Maybe you have the contact of one or another, of Valentin or someone. Send a text. How are you doing? Echo for leaders. So a little by little, the strength will return. So thank you. So we're together to support each other. So now we have to call the last speakers of this session, because afterwards we'll have the closing ceremony. So we invite Catalina Hinojosa from New Humanity. So let's give her a round of applause. So then Rainer Gude, who's been a hero with all the equipment that works with him. And we have also Chelsea that comes to share with us. So an applause. And then there's other people there.
So we arrived to the closing moment. Probably so many feelings inside of us, so many ideas, so many thoughts. First of all, we want to thank you, everyone, for being here. And especially we are really grateful because during these days we have heard, seen that Africa has a voice, that Africa is moving, that Africa, that it's a colorful continent, is sharing that color to the whole world. So we want to thank you a lot for that. We have learned so much from you. And we want also to tell you that Africa has a voice. Go out, just speak out. You are doing so great. We have arrived here to discover how is Africa, but from your perspective. And we are bringing that in our hearts. And we wanted to thank you really for these days. We want to thank also all the speakers that have been here. We have heard so many great stories, so many great projects, and also we have learned so much about new topics, new ideas, new perspectives. So let's go together, let's move together. And you know that New Humanity NGO, together with the Focolare Movement, Live in Peace, and all the partners that are here are supporting also your journey. So anything that you want to share with us, please do it. Because we want to hear your voice. We want to work together. And we want to build this one human family. So thank you so much. And let's continue together. And asante sana.
Do I have to continue in Swahili now after you?
Sí.
Pole, pole.
Thank you.
Okay. I think these days we had an experience of Ubuntu. But let me add something new to that. I would say we had an experience of a positive Ubuntu. What do I mean by that? Isn't Ubuntu always positive? Well, what if we sometimes consider our Ubuntu a little small, a little negative? I am because we are. Who's the we? Is the we only people that look like me, that talk like me, that make as much money as me? Or is my we big enough to fill this room? Big enough to include people who disagree with me? Big enough to have people who might even dislike or hate me? Is my Ubuntu big enough to include my enemies? My invitation to you is to live the Ubuntu that you lived here. That is, I am because we all are, with all its diversity. And the we is as big as it can be. Okay? And I think to do that, I guess that's an okay. To do that, I think we'll find the answers along the way. Remember I said the first step yesterday, seems like I said last month, that we had to live the questions. We had to love the questions. Well, I think one way of living them and loving them is by living a broad, expansive Ubuntu. No? With this seeking of relational truth, where I can find perspectives that are different than mine, that guide the way I think, that guide the way I act. I was at a conference like this a few months ago, and someone said, we have a trinity of problems. We have systems that are decaying and archaic. We have human and spiritual maturity that is stunted and not developed enough. And we have technology that is ever accelerating that we are not ready to manage. That makes quite a combination of our problems. But we said we wanted to give a soul to our institutions. And it seems you can't give a soul to anything that you don't first have a soul for yourself to give. You need to have a soul and live that soul to give a soul to the UN, to give a soul to your government, to give a soul to the NGO, to give a soul to your jobs. Someone quoted Martin Luther King before. He had soul power. He talked about your soul power. And that's living from love, and that's living from your conviction and your values, but it's also a collective soul. Let's call it your Ubuntu power. Can you live from your Ubuntu power? I'll give you another example. If Ubuntu is your goal, can Ubuntu also be your starting point? Can you go from your experience of Ubuntu that is as diverse and big as possible to go out into the world to make an even bigger Ubuntu? And if that's your goal, and if that's your starting point, then can Ubuntu also be your path? Can it be your process? In some small way, we try to do that these days. We try to have a collective process. I know we needed more time for conversation. I know you had many more questions. I know we could have stayed here for months and months, even though it already feels like we already did. But the conversations will continue. The collective work will continue. The Ubuntuing, if I were to invent a word, has to continue. And in that process, where we gave you some input from here, heard your magnificent questions, listened in on your great conversations in the groups, and at tea time, and at lunch and dinner, we also invited you to share your collective wisdom on this Decidim platform. And we thank you for all of those who participated, whether directly or on the group. And from there, we tried to collectively, as a group, distill what you wrote and come up with some more collective wisdom from this group. Now, it's still a work in progress, but we've gotten to the point where we have something to show for what we've done these days, that we're going to call a charter of commitment, that will still take some days to finish. We're still getting some more input, but we've had a wonderful team come together, download everything that you said, and start to try and put it together. But more than just a document, as you said yourselves, the UN, our governments, we have documents that they don't live up to. The document that we're about to show you, this work in progress, the real work in progress is, are we living it? Are we making Ubuntu wide enough? Since that's always a work in progress, since that's never fully attained, and we might make mistakes and we might get lost, and one step at a time we can always start again, we can always start re-Ubuntuing. Sorry for the translations, they must hate me for this. We can always start again. You can always come back to your experience of what you had here. You can always come back to the experience of those who are walking with you. You are not alone. You can always restart your Ubuntu. And now we'll show you a little bit of what this document of your Ubuntu work has produced. Over to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the chance that you've been given to walk through your thoughts and to walk through your hearts, because what you proposed and put down and shared, it's basically what we all share together in our hearts and the change that we want to see. So I've been given this opportunity to take you through the summary of the document, and you'll allow me to summarize because I cannot do word to word, but if you like to do word to word, I think you can check the projection there. Yeah, so one of the objectives that was shared is youth empowerment and participation in decision making. And when we talk about leadership in Africa, we are talking about young leaders being leaders now and not tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. And under that, there was an emphasis of creating spaces for active youth inclusion. We're not talking about just having youth as part of the circle, but actively involving them in the activities in those circles. To advocate for capacity building through civic education, leadership training to strengthen youth leaders' roles, both in local and international platforms. And this, of course, it's creating permanent mechanisms for collaboration within national levels and ensuring that young leaders are involved. The third under that was the importance of community learning. We talk about self-learning, but in this case, it's community learning, because everything is for the community as we work together peer-to-peer learning. Sorry, I'll slowly. Peer-to-peer learning and intergenerational dialogue where we allow ourselves to learn from each other without judgment. The second proposal was peace building and conflict resolution through community action and intercultural dialogue. And this is in the spirit of Ubuntu, where we realize we become the vehicle of peace and solidarity in the change that we want to see, in the activities that we want to see, that is inspired by our African communal values that we all share and we all value, right? So in this, we recognize the role of the UN and the Africa Union in supporting and collaborating with our local authorities and our religious institution in promoting solidarity, justice, justice and equality on local and global platforms. And under this proposal, there was 4 pointers that were important. One, to advocate for localized peace initiative. You are creating initiatives for the people, not for yourself. That's, when you create those initiatives. The second is to encourage the establishment of cultural programs. And this is fueled for social cohesion and inclusion. The third, to commit ourselves to develop and support programs that promote living together. As we create initiatives for the community, we also look at how do we live together. And the final under that was the intercultural dialogue and peace education as a tool for building understanding, tolerance, and cooperation that is being promoted in our communities. And the final one was we take the role of peace ambassadors or influencers in our circles. The third proposal, youth inclusion in education, innovation, and economic empowerment. Why? High rates of unemployment in Africa, and of course also around the world. I think we share that as a common problem. And becoming paramount in enabling young people to grow and flourish in terms of economically, professionally, in all those aspects. And of course, under that, we had 4 important ways or action points. The first, to partner with local government to establish community youth centers. These to act as hubs or incubators where young people are nurtured in terms of education, in terms of their talents, and of course, to promote collaboration among projects. As Carlos said, you love the projects of others as if it was yours, and that's how we grow. The second action point, we welcome initiatives to equip youth and women in entrepreneurial space. That is we equip knowledge and we give access to tools and access to networks that will foster, 1, self-reliance through innovation, digital empowerment, because media, as the game we were playing here the other day, plays a very big role in the present world, and sustainable enterprise. Anything we are building is not a short-term goal. It should be a long-term goal because the goal is to make sure the change goes beyond our generation. And then the third action point is striving for green and just economies, where we endorse initiatives that, of course, acknowledge or engage youth in environmental restoration, sustainable resource use, and awareness in campaigns to combat illegal mining and ecological degradation. The last action point under that proposal is advancing a new approach to work with human dignity and well-being of workers, minding and loving others as you love yourself. The fourth proposal sustainable and inclusive urban development, cities with heart and soul. And under this, of course, according to the UN, if you've been listening the conversations around urban spaces, by 2050 we'll have 70% of the world population living in the urban areas. And because this calls for a community-oriented urban spaces, the action points under these were community-oriented urban designs. We have architects among us, and they know when we talk about that, we are talking about community gardens, we are talking about shared working spaces and mindful creative hubs in our spaces. The second action point is cities that promote social, cultural, and economical equity, ensuring young people are not excluded from shaping urban features, because young people can be very creative, and of course, if you give them the opportunity, they gather, they express themselves, and they shape the civic life through art, through sport, through music. The last action point under that proposal, to welcome the cultivation of a spirit of interconnectedness within cities. I am because, yes, the foundation for peace, coexistence, and shared prosperity. And a reflection for all of us that we recollected from the thoughts that were shared and the proposals that were shared was, in our shared dream of peaceful and thriving Africa, we would like to invite each and every one of us, both young people and young at heart, an institution to envision a borderless Africa where we promote unity, we promote prosperity and a shared identity across the continent. The journey begins between me and you to spearhead the agenda for realizing a new united Africa. And according to the commitments that we all agreed to uphold, and for this I'll read word to word because they're short sentences, is one, we commit to pole pole. We commit to one, be ambassadors of peace in our communities. Do we agree? Yes. Two, we have to agree. So that's, yes. Two, create and participate in youth-led initiatives for dialogue, inclusion, and civic education. Do we agree? Yes. Three, use art, music, and culture as tools for healing and unity. Do we agree? Yes. Number four, collaborate across borders to build networks for peace and innovation. Do we agree? Yes. I like the way you're agreeing. Number five, practice solidarity, integrity, and mutual support in all our action. Do we agree? Yes. And final but not the least, engage with humility and courage in shaping the future for our communities and the world. Do we agree? Yes. Amazing. Thank you very much.
So I will share with you, among the few people, we are going to share the final document. This is just a reminder that it doesn't end here, it doesn't end after this meeting, and it's not only here, but also in the global level. UN, Philippe Paulier, Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs, United Nations. African Union and Forum International. UNESCO, Youth Forum in Paris, and UNESCO Kenya National Commission. United Nations Habitat Nairobi. United Nations Environment Program Nairobi. And all our partners and promoters. The New Humanity NGO, Together for a New Africa, United World Project, Politics for Unity Movement, AMU, United World Action, Sophia University Institute, International Sociological Association, Thematic Group 12, Social Love and Solidarity, Living Peace International, Laudato Si Movement Africa, Greening Africa Together, African Council of Religious Leaders, Religions for Peace, UNIP Organization Kenya, Central University, UNITA, Curau, Brazil. So as you can see, we've had so many promoters who have made this event possible, but we also thank you who have also contributed to this document that will be presented to the whole world. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you.
Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Alors, nous allons nous arrêter.
Thank you.
Et on va
Now
demander
we'll do a break. We'll take a break. We ask for an applause.
techniciens et des traducteurs, tous ceux qui ont
An applause for all the interpreters, the technical team, everyone that helped, because to help us understand each other in these days. It's a nice way to say
vraiment, merci beaucoup.
or misunderstand each other these days. So thank you,
Et nous avons un message
because we have been able to communicate between us,
chez nous.
and we have been able to transmit the message. So thank you.
Et j'ai dit, moi, même vous surprendre, vous voyez, c'est
So I didn't tell you before, but
il y a une dernière
because it was a
Vous
surprise,
voyez, quand on
there is a last part here, a last celebration maybe.
Ici, il y a 14
So we are being informed now.
des 14 nations
There are 14
ensemble
representatives from 14 nations
Donc, il faut que
together
vous
for
sachiez
New
que nous sommes en
Africa.
train de parler de 140
So
leaders.
we have to,
Pas jeunes,
so we're about to talk about 140 leaders.
personnes. Il y a un monde.
So 140 people,
Ces 140 personnes aujourd'hui terminent
these 140 people today
d'études, de vie et de partage.
finish 3 years of
Et donc,
all studies, sharing, and life.
finir solennellement cette partie de notre vie.
So to close solemnly
Nous sommes
this
engagés
part,
maintenant à vivre ensemble.
to restart everything we commit ourselves to live.
Qui est le
So Dr. Castor Ugale, which is the coordinator of the training contents for Together for a New Africa. So Dr. Castor, accompanied by
de la coordination.
some of his team, the team of coordination.
A round of applause, please, for Dr. Castor.
Et son équipe. Merci.